Welcome. These are some of my favorite moments and running thoughts on Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 2, Episode 6. Uhura-centered episode. Yes! I always get so excited about who it will be this week. I really enjoy the format of this show where it's an ensemble, but we seem to focus on only a couple of characters each time. Plus, temporary Fleet Captain Pike. Nice. Oh, good. I was afraid I'd miss the speech. The whole vibe so far is great. And then everything about Hammer. Oh, my heart. I don't even think Uhura needed to watch the video for that recalibration. I think she just wanted to see him. That makeup design was so good. Zombie Hammer. Wow. Also, poor Uhura. Imagine stepping into a turbo lift and then seeing that. It was at this moment I thought, something in that nebula is off. I don't think this is going to be the last strange appearance we see in this episode. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the DS9 If Wishes Were Horses, except with a darker tone. But I'm sure that this is the nebula. It's always the nebula. You aren't going back on duty until I'm satisfied that you've slept. Imagine if that was true today. I would never be on duty. Although maybe they have a cure for insomnia in the future. It doesn't seem like it though. Both Kirks are here. Except the brothers don't seem to be doing very well. There's a bit of a tension there. And of course, dad issues. I feel like Sam doesn't value himself enough, and that's the real root of the issue here. He's an amazing genius, but also a bit chaotic, always leaving his dirty dishes everywhere. So yeah, it's hard not having your parents be proud of you because you're too different than their expectations. So I really felt this. It can be very difficult on siblings. Not to bring Lord of the Rings into it, but I've always admired Faramir because they kind of had a similar situation going with their father. Boromir was always the poster child. Faramir had very different talents that he didn't always see in himself, but there never was a point when the two brothers clashed. They always supported each other, and it's probably the reason the Mirror Bros are my favorite characters in Lord of the Rings. They also dealt with a similar situation, but in that case, they stuck together. And here we have the Kirk Bros. Not so much. Oh, poor Uhura. She is really going through it. Nobody's believing her. Great lighting design here as well. I love it when Trek does horror. And then we started getting these wonderful interactions between Kirk and Uhura. He even believes her. That's what she needed, was someone to just hear her out and be like, yeah, let's figure out what's going on. And then that line from Kirk, well, don't punch any more officers till I get back. I feel like he's really coming into his own as Kirk. You can definitely tell this is a younger version of the TOS captain. This scene reminded me of the Chronicles of Narnia, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, where they go to the dark Nightmare Island and find Lord Roop, who's been alone with his worst fears for so long that he doesn't believe the crew is real. I almost wonder if Uhura is having an even worse time because she's aware that it's going on to the point where she doesn't know what's real and what's not real. Like an alarm will go off and she's like, is that really happening? Is that a real red alert? Or is it just my head playing tricks on me? Should I even be on duty? Should I just go to my quarters and like lock the door? And then, I know, I keep comparing it to things this time, but it just really was an interesting episode in that it made me think of other things. Uhura's reactions reminded me so much of how the Jedi and the Leveler interact in Star Wars. That piercing headache and then the disorientation, seeing things that aren't there, nightmarish visions, this like sense of fear and dread that you don't understand. And book readers, we still don't understand it. Like Master Yoda was all, I don't know. I'm sensing fear and pain from these creatures and I don't know what's going on. And that was kind of the sense I got, was there was some sort of entity reaching out to Uhura but didn't understand how and was just freaking her out. And via the leveler, I kind of figured out the plot of this episode because I was like, okay, this feels like High Republic. Also, side note, Uhura would be an amazing Jedi, right? Okay, this was awkwardly awesome. I was like, will she give in and tell him what's really going on? I don't think so. La'an is very duty-driven. It was a really cute scene. And Kirk is clever. I feel like if La'an leaves him enough breadcrumbs, he will eventually figure out something's going on there. You're like a space hippie. There's crumbs on your uniform. When did you even eat? Meanwhile, Pelia's like, ooh, you call that a burn? Ha 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 ha. Let me get my tiny dragon violin. I really enjoyed this B-plot between the two of them. Especially the final scene where Pelia was like, look, I've been around a while. I know what's really going on. I've lost a lot of people over the years. You miss Hemmer, and you're projecting that loss and that pain on me as the newcomer, and you need to stop. Like, yes, I'm not Hemmer, but you kind of need to come to terms with that before you come and interact with me and blame me and don't value my input, because Pelia has her own style. She's very ancient. She knows a few things, and yes, she's able to walk into a room and go, this doesn't seem right. I'm gonna figure it out. And Una seems so perfect all the time. I really liked seeing her not exactly make a mistake, but definitely stumble a bit here and have Pelia point that out. I thought that was really good. Another beautiful moment when Uhura opened up about how difficult it was to lose her family, to lose Hemmer, her mentor, her friend, and how she's just been covering up the pain by overworking herself. That was an incredible performance. Absolutely incredible. So vulnerable. And I think this really adds a depth to the friendship between Uhura and Kirk in the original series, because you can definitely see he trusts her and they've known each other a long time, and seeing the early stages of it, of how both of them are able to really trust each other pretty early on, it was just lovely. It really was. We finally get to see Sam's lab. Yes. I love seeing areas of the ship that we don't often see. Plus, maybe this way he can show how important his work really is, which will help mend his relationship with James. And then in shocking news to Star Trek fans, it was the nebula. What I really liked was that Uhura was able to combine her natural empathy with her skills with communication to figure out, all right, this is an alien entity contacting me through the visions. What are they really trying to tell me? What are they trying to say? And then walking onto the bridge and having the courage to say, Hike, you know, the entire mission that we're here for, yeah, we have to stop and leave. Not only did that show a lot of strength in Uhura, but it also demonstrated Pike's leadership, that he took a moment, gathered the facts, and then said, I value your judgment more than just this space gas station, basically. There's such an emphasis on trust this episode, and Pike came through as well. He was like, okay, let's do it. Oh, Even as an alien projection, it is good to see him again. And this was just so wonderfully done. Having the aliens communicate that they were safe again by having Hammer show up non-zombie form. Although I am glad I'm not Pike, having to explain all this to Starfleet Command. You did what? He takes responsibility, and that is why his team feels comfortable enough bringing stuff like this to his attention. All right, you got to talk about this. The first meeting of Spock and Kirk. And I really enjoyed that it was sort of because of Sam. As I said earlier, he's this chaotic, mad genius scientist type who just leaves dirty dishes everywhere. And Spock is the opposite. He likes things clean, orderly, neat, tidy. And he sees Sam's mess that he left. And he comes over and he's like, oh, seriously. And he starts cleaning. And he looks up. And it's like, oh, there's James. There's Spock. Spock and Kirk shippers are probably screaming at this moment at their screens. And then finally getting the trio sitting down at the table. That was a good moment. My only disappointment this episode was not getting La'an and James having that drink together. They did reference it, so I'm hoping in the future we'll get that more in-depth scene. Other than that, it was a great episode.